Welcome to Australia and welcome back to Mount Panorama. It is one of the most feared and one of the most revered motorsports circuits on the planet, and certainly one of the most famous tracks in all of Australian motor racing. Home to the Bathurst 1000 and of course the 12 Hours of Bathurst. Today it plays host to its first beer league race since season number 5. My name is Nolan Rempel alongside Acinni. We are bringing you all of racing action from start to finish from round 6 of the beer league. Fan, what a wild time it has been this afternoon. What a wild race we are in for this afternoon as we get set to take it to the mountain.
Yes, it is a fantastically wild weekend. Wild set of races we've had this far into the championship, and I think we're set for another one. Watching a couple of these cars just tumble around the mountain already in practice and on the outlaps here in qualifying as it gets underway. Love driving here, love commentating here, one of my favorite circuits for many reasons, and I'm happy to be back.
Let's take a look on what happened last week. It was pure and utter chaos in the closing stages of last week's race down for May 21st. And at Sebring International Raceway, we saw none other than Giovanni Romano and Alexander Klenk going head-to-head in an all-out fight, looking to come across the line, and it ended with Klenk ending up giving up the win back to Romano, while Shane Cameron flipped into the wall behind him.
It was a intense final couple corners here as we watched them go around towards the start-finish stretch. That getting in contact, Giovanni pulling a 360, keeping it barely out of the barrier, and then Klenk pulling over to allow him the win as he felt responsible for that incident on the final corner.
And then, of course, it was a big moment for Shane Cameron, who had flipped over, went hard into the wall with the roof end first, and that takes us all the way around into racing action here this afternoon, where right now it is Alexander Bueller back on top of the point standings, but Alex Copper looking to chase him down right now. Only 8 points off the mark. Giovanni Romano, with that win last week, has jumped all the way up to third and still in the fight as well. He is only 17 back.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Only 17 back. Only a point behind him is Henry Morris in position number 4. And Austin Tucker not trailing too far behind with the 225 in 5th position. Both the past 3 drivers, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, all up in positions, as you can see there, as Josh Freed tumbles down the order, I think as he was out last week.
Josh Freed not present last week. This afternoon, he and Ron Wolf are also both down on positions. It is 3 for the both of them. In terms of the team championships, the only change is the Legends of the Hidden Temple have jumped back up ahead of the Misfits. Everyone else still remaining in lockstep. The battle is the one to watch right now. That fight for third between Legends Never Die and Serial Team 6.
This team championship heating up as we get into it with Legends Never Die, as well as Serial Team 6. I think in a pretty solid fight for the bottom step of that team championship podium. I'm curious to see whether or not that we'll see a flip there, or if Legendary is able to close the gap to Formula Legends.
Well, right now we've got ourselves with drivers on track and attempting to put down qualified laps here this afternoon. So far, nobody has been able to get a time in on the boards, and we're going to be eagerly looking to see when those times are set to come on in. And we'll track around. Let's take a ride on board here with Justin Hall once he comes back around to the start-finish line, and he'll be able to take us for a lap around the Mount Panorama circuit once he comes back around. It's a long lap here, though, 2.5 minutes.
It is 2.5 minutes. It is a good little ways slower than a lot of the faster machinery of V8 supercars as well as GT3s we often see here, both in real life and often in the sim. So a little bit slower machinery, but no less on the razor's edge of grip as it comes down to the final corner into the start-finish stretch to start out the lap.
So Justin Hall will look to start the flying lap this afternoon. It's going to be difficult for drivers to get a time on the board. Several drivers have already crossed the line once, but they were not able to get a time on the board. So you still see nobody has gotten a time in. That is out of turn 1. You already see him power slide the tail end of that Legends 434 coupe and working his way up the stretch underneath the Penner's Bridge and headed up towards the cutting for the first time tonight.
A quick right-hander of Griffin's Bend to preamble to the cutting as you get really up into the mountain portion of the lap. Into it, just a little bit of a lift and a little bit of braking into it to really get that car rotated. a couple of times on the board as he gets up to the cutting proper. A fantastic, nice 90 or so, a little bit more, almost hairpin, dropping it down into second gear as he gets up to the Corey corner and up on the way to Skyline.
First got to go through Reed and Solomon Park. That is through Reed Park. Watch the wall to the left-hand side. Last one right here, the Ford Mustang saw a massive pile up in heat race number 2 coming over the rise through Solomon Park and then to McPhillamy Park. Fastest and highest point of the circuit. It's all downhill from here. Last season here, Eric Ronberg was sent out of the ballpark in this very corner as he bounced off of the Coates Tire signage and down through Skyline. One of the most fearsome series of corners, and now this is going to be the terrifying section come sprint race time through the SS. Kick it out. The tail end. It's so devastating with the crash here. You upset one of those runs and you are going to be all downhill from there. So through the dipper, out past the Falcon signage on a Forest Elbow, and now down the longest straight in Australia Motorsports. It's the Conrod Straight.
It is the Conrod Straight, only a couple corners now. It's kind of your sigh of relief after you get out of the mountain as a driver and you go, okay, cool, we made it. We made it through a lap, if I can keep it from crashing in the chase. Chase is a deceptive corner, especially in the rain and other inclement weather. For these cars, just a little bit of a lift to get that car to rotate, and then back on the power up until he hits that, looks like a 50-yard sign, and then on the brakes, back on the power. I don't think it was enough to get an off track. He kept 2 tires and most of the car, I think, on the black stuff, so I think he'll be okay as he comes back up to that final corner we joined him with for the final part of this lap. On the curbing, around the corner, over the start-finish line to set a time, hopefully. He jumps up to 9th with a 2:35.25, that lap we just saw there.
Of course, Mount Panorama virtually unchanged in its layout from its inception back in 1938. The only major track layout change this facility has seen is, of course, the addition of the Chase in 1986. And obviously that was, I think, obviously put in for safety reasons, right? But you can argue it's made the track better in a way.
I think it's one of the fantastic additions they made for safety that is not just a simple chicane to slow cars down, and actually adds a great depth of variability to a couple of corners as we watch that number 19 make big impact of the wall on the first corner of that lap there. Blanking on that name.
That was Alex Cofford taking the fastest lap of the race as well, with the last lap by a 2:32.749.
Fantastic stuff. A very difficult set of corners to get right in such a manner to set the fastest lap time. He's only 7/100ths faster than Jake Kasich, who's currently in second.
Jake Kasich just jumping up to the number 2 spot, less than a 10th behind, and kind of going back to the chase, right? I mean, how many iconic, classic moments have we seen from this fearsome corner? We, of course, have had barrel rolls, we've had thrills, we've had spills, we've had everything in between. It used to be a beer league staple, and whenever they would come down here, they would always line up at the top of the Conrad Straight and go full throttle post-race straight into the sand trap for the sole purpose of doing the infamous Bathurst jump that takes place here on iRacing in virtually every single race that is ever had here. Shockingly effective last week, but with the new sand and grass physics, I don't know if it's going to be a success today.
I think it's going to be a little bit harder. That gravel now feels way more like a thing that is designed to catch cars and keep them from going into tire barriers that they're not supposed to. And while loosely before it's been this thing that you can kind of drive on and then have this sick jump over the chase as a celebratory, you've done the thing and survived Bathurst. It's not something I think we'll be able to see in these cars. I don't think they quite have the grip to push through the gravel and its tire catching properties.
So what I'm hearing effectively is the sand trap is actually acting like a sand trap now, and it's not actually like extra wet grass.
It is no longer wet grass. It is in fact a sand trap that is designed to stop and not just a thing you can slide on and have a sick jump over. But if you have the right car, you can power through it. I know a few of them. Pro Trucks, I think, are one of them. A couple of the dirt road cars, like the Ford Fiesta, as well as the Subaru. Those rallycross cars, I think, are still able to do it as well.
You're the ones that are actually able to drive in off-road conditions.
Yes. Ones that are designed for it.
We see Greg Beckman going up to the number 9 position as he comes across the line. So number 42 entry on a good charge. Josh Freed jumping up to 7th.
A fantastic drive from him, bumps him up to 7th. A bunch of drivers, I should say, are still out trying to finish laps and set times on the board that haven't already.
Boy.
We still have a good number as a couple of cars find their way on the inside.
I'm sure. So we're going to take things back up to race in action as per. And I think, for the most part, we're in for a good show, right? I mean, I think everybody here is really excited to be back here at Bathurst. Again, over 6 seasons, we've been absent here, where we haven't had a race in Mel Panorama. The last time out, it was the second ever race we called for the Beer League. Back when they were running the Ford Mustang F500Ss, of course, big highlights of the night include Max Verstappen going for a massive barrel roll in the chase along with Eric Ronenberg. I think about 4 or 5 cars got sent out of the ballpark in that race as well. Numerous multi-car pileups. And all of that was just in one long 45-minute main event. Now we've got a 15-minute sprint race to attach to the 55 as well.
That is, I think it sounds like we're just going to get more action and probably some carnage, some cars getting ejected from the sim via the, barriers that teleport you to pit road. That cars will, I think, inevitably be hitting. I think we've seen a couple at least I've seen a couple in practice here doing similarly to the Ford Mustangs that we saw many seasons ago at this point.
Probably,
I think it'll still be good, some good racing, I think, through all of this and the carnage that will also, I think, inevitably await us.
Speaking of Max Verstappen, there is the youngster running in that number 5 car as he tries to take things down the road. Look at how close he is feathering the walls with that Legends 434. He is really pushing the limits of that machine. The question is he going to get a time on the boards? Because you got to keep it out of the wall to log one. And right now, we've got a lot of drivers that usually set times that aren't on the boards just yet.
Yeah, we've had a good number of drivers still struggling to find times, and a lot of them having bad first laps, having to go into a second lap, third lap, fourth lap. I think in the instance of Max Verstappen, as well as a few other drivers, Jason Lee, Sebastian Close, all individuals we usually see on the timing board in some way or another. Though I think, as I say that, nope, somebody else has jumped into the timing tables. But Henry Morris dethroning Alex Crawford at the top of the timing table by 500ths with that new 232.7 lap time.
Good show from Henry Morse. Now we'll see if Alex Crawford can respond. He is going to miss out this time by, but still has a chance to try to get back to the top spot.
That he does. I kind of got the feeling this was an outlap for him, and he's now working to push. I think with Alex Bueller right behind him. Hopefully has some sort of assistance, maybe.
Well, the problem is you can't bump draft because like 0x invalidates the lap.
But you can draft. No bump draft.
You can do that, which he is doing there from some slower cars. That could actually end up slowing him down, though, all the weaving around.
It was all weaving around, but I don't think I saw him lift his foot off the pedal. So I think it will be a marginal slow down versus the benefit he'll get of the draft. But we'll have to see how the lap time reflects whether or not I am correct in that thinking or you are more correct with that concern about the weaving as Max Verstappen spins around in the background at Corey's Bend.
Chris Zofer gets on the boards as well. He is down in 29th place for the time being. Adam Just Malhut and Jason Lee both still circling. Those are drivers that are not on the boards just yet. Henry Morse waiting anxiously as Alex Crawford right now looking good. Projected lap time here could end up being a pretty good time. Right now predicted to be, what, a 2:32.8. That's fluctuating big time. It was up to 9, and right now he is threatening the top time. That's the predicted lap on the right-hand side there.
Yeah, he is, up until that point, seemed to be shaving tenths off of that lap time, and it looks like it's fluctuating around the time where it'll be a little bit faster than
it just dipped into the 5s. That's big.
Well, he will slow down here, and that probably will push it back up. Well, maybe not. We'll have to see. Looks like a slow run out of the... Oh, Jesus. Well, slow run out of the hairpin there. Forced elbow is the fancy name of that. We got there eventually. Running out of cylinders to fire off of.
Don't blaspheme against the Aussies now. They'll get you for that.
Will not. Yeah, I don't plan to. I have some good friends who are Aussies, and they would get very offended at me if I...
We have an Aussie commentator with us as well that runs on Thursday night.
Perfect. So. That's right. Yes. Yep. No. Yeah. I remember. I've joined him for the fantastic. SRL at Darlington.
All right. Oh, Alex Covenant the pull to the side. I think the lap got invalidated somewhere along the line, so he wasn't able to get a time in there. Got down with a 2:30, but was not enough.
Alex Bueller, however, right behind him, was enough for 2:32.28.
So he was helping Bueller then, and now Bueller might look to return the favor.
I'm guessing so, based on the fact that he's still out turning laps with Alex Crawford right behind him. I think he's at least trying to give him a pull down the front stretch after Hell Corner. That starts out the lap. But it's not as much of a pull as Crawford was able to give him from the previous lap.
So these are the two drivers that we are looking to beat for the lap times here. They are the two that are battling it out. Henry Morse right now working his way over the top of the hill, trying to see if he can respond, but without draft help, I don't think he's going to beat a time that's 4/10 quicker.
Yeah, I don't think without the help of the draft, I think he's unfortunately going to probably be sitting where he is in second or maybe third if Alex Crawford keeps leveraging the help that he's been getting from drivers in front of him in addition to Alex Bueller. But it's very possible that that may change.
So Henry Morse out of the final corner, or corners, working his way down the Conrad straight for the final time today. Right now about a 1:45 was the time out of that mark. Bueller is taking a pit road, so now Crawford's on his own. Got held up a little bit through lap traffic. The time's close to Morse's time, but is it comparable to Bueller's?
That is a good question. I think it'll be a little bit slower than Bueller because Bueller had that toe from the beginning of the lap on that first stretch all the way through the chase down into the final corner there, Murray's corner. I want to get particular about corner names because apparently that's what I'm doing, trying to do tonight at least. He got the toe all the way through the lap.
This will be close. He got him.
Close.
Got him, I think.
Wow.
Just by a little bit. Oh, I got invalidated.
It did not get invalidated, I don't think.
Did it not? It didn't, you're right.
Not for Henry Morse. Yeah, he did improve by 0.2 up to 2:32.45.
Crawford at 2:32, 500ths off the mark.
Yes. 500 off the mark and only a 10th faster than Henry Morse. Henry Morse has got a fantastic lap all on his own. I think without that draft help, I think he would still be at the top of the pile.
What a battle, though, for pole position. Tell you what, Crawford may have not gotten the time, but boy, what an effort, though.
Absolutely, and a great effort from all three of them. You know, seeing how much Henry Morse was hustling that car throughout the mountain, kind of on his own, I think really also puts a testament to how well he'll probably do here as these cars get through the final 10 seconds of qualifying. A few cars still trying to frantically put in a time, but I don't think they'll get a number back up on the board other than more lap time learned for the race.
Not just yet. No drivers will have the time they need to put the lap times in. So we'll take a rundown of what your official starting grid is going to look like for round number 1. Coming on up this time around, this is how they line up for the sprint race. Started on pole position, it is going to be none other than Alexander Bueller alongside Alex Cofford. Row number 2, headed up by Henry Morse alongside Jake Kasich. Half a second off the mark. Austin Tucker back in 5th, and already over a second back, it's Chris Bright. 7th place is going to be headed up by Aaron Thacker alongside Josh Free. Rounding out the top 10, then going to be Chris Flams and Alex King. From there, it's Eric Ronenberg, Greg Beckman, Alexander Hamming, Scott Fleming, Jason Lee, Corey Barrett, Justin Brissy, Sean Bradley, Justin Hall, Brooks Clayton, Matthew Dupuis, Jordan Babcock, Ron Wolf, Evan Campbell, Blake Gambrell, Ryan Verhulst, Mac Verstupen, Ben Williams, Sebastian Close, Ryan Murphy, Chris Zofer, Carson Catlin, Adam Joseph Milhot, Tyler Vietnan, Giovanni Romano, and Tyler Augustino closes out the field.
A packed grid, 36 cars taking to the grid for the first sprint race. It's going to be a little bit of an interesting one given the number of cars and how the number of drivers that will have to make the final corner before the start-finish line and how that will impact the field going into turn 1.
Yeah, that final corner could very well be the nemesis for quite a few drivers here this afternoon. You can see all the way backed up. We're talking from about Matthew Dupuis all the way on back are starting in that corner. That's not an ideal starting position by any metric. So, like you say, it'll be very interesting to see how that one's going to pan on out. Got about 10 seconds left here. I'd be hard-pressed to say anybody other than the top 3 are going to jump away with this one with an early lead.
I would have to say, unless somebody gets a great launch off of the start-finish, I don't think that's the case either. I think those 3 will be battling it out for those first few positions in the sprint race, and therefore going to make their way further down with the transfer spots.
Green flag's up in the air, and Ron Wolf has jumped the start. He's been given a black flag as a result, so Ron Wolf going to be down and out early on. Meanwhile, Alexander Bueller gets away well through turn number 1 and through Hell Corner, working our way up the front straight, up the first of the big straightaways towards Quarry Bend for the first time tonight. Bueller pulling clear early on.
He is, but Alex Cofford being pushed up the hill by Henry Morse, and he has to dive out of the way as to not run into Alex Bueller as he pushes past into Quarry's Bend.
So through Quarry Bend. Oh, look out! Big crash behind. Around goes Henry Morse. The third place runner getting taken out. There's another one stopped facing the wrong direction. That's number 16. One car just flipped hard into the wall. That's the 71 machine that's gone up and over into the fence.
That is a heartbreaking beginning, and definitely one where you feel like you are absolutely a passenger based on the way that panned out for Evan Campbell in that number 71 machine. Just an unlucky bump there from the 703 of Matthew Dupuis.
Tough break for everybody involved, and there is the field working our way through the opening salvo of corners. That crash up at the cutting has really thinned out the herd big time here this afternoon. And there we see Alex Cofford and more working their way through the top of Skyline for the first time this afternoon.
And they are a little easy on the brakes, trying to take it easy and not immediately wreck. You watch all these cars get real loose as they don't have anything pinning them down or trying to keep them down with aerodynamics. As we watch, unfortunate run into the wall there for the number 43 of Tyler Vietnan. He keeps the wrangle going at least the right direction as more cars get piled up in Forest Elbow.
It is just not a good start to this race for several. This field has been really broken apart. Now looking for 3 wide down Conrad. Cutting through the field is Henry Morse, fighting his way back into a top 10 and trying to make a run for the top spot. No major moves they made this time by in towards the chase. Not for lack of trying, though. Some drivers do go double. No one so far braving 3.
Nobody braving 3 there, probably for the best, because these cars slide a lot when they're under high-speed corners without any grip, but they keep themselves all pointed the right direction.
This is Ron Wolf with his jump start.
Oh, you just see he just lets out the clutch for just a second.
Right there, yeah.
Yeah,
that's tough.
That is tough.
And then,
speaking of tough, Brooks Clayton around in Mary's corner. Look at it, sorry.
That was the This is the big moment with Evan Campbell, sorry, hopped up in a huge ride up with Matthew Dupuis.
Lands back on his feet, though. Carried there like looks like Mac Verstappen. Alex Cofford and Alexander Bueller both still holding on to the top 2 spots pretty smoothly. I was referencing, as we were looking at Henry Morris's crash, a incident spinning, Brooks Clayton spinning around in Murray's corner by themselves and just finding they're tumbling down the order as a result of just a little soft spin. So.
Right now, Chris Flam's the furthest driver up in the M category. He is situated in the middle of this secondary pack here from about 5th on back. And it's a hotly contested pack as well. Eric Ronenberg, who found himself upside down in this race over a year ago, now finds himself caught up in the mix as he is going to fire his way down and in towards the through Skyline and into the Dipper. But boy, these drivers already putting these cars to their paces early on.
Yeah, you can see a lot of them counter steering. You can watch the wheels kind of pushing them back in the direction they want the car to go. Lack of grip in this downhill section, making it a very, I would say, almost uncomfortable, definitely a tense ride down the mountain.
You're never feeling too secure in any car when you're in a situation like that. We can see Henry Morris in the middle of this fight, slowly but surely clawing his way back up the order, spot after spot, but bit of a fight here with Flams and Bright as they enter the chase. You'll have to hang that one the long way around.
Man. Yep, heads up off track, going to do it, slipping through as well as the driver, Chris Bright driving as well. Alex Bueller.
Giving up the lead as he takes to pit road.
Yeah, I wonder if he didn't put enough fuel. This would be 2 laps, so this will be if he was in on a quali set without fixing it to be a race fuel.
That could be devastating the points battle for him if that is the case. Already 2 laps in the books and over 5 minutes are down as well. Ben Williams looks like he's had a spin out of the final corner, but the fight for 12th place right now between Justin Hall and Greg Beckman.
A very tight 2-car battle, kind of on their own, and I think they're going to be swapping spots up until the end of this heat race to fight it out for the position. Greg Beckman choosing to stay behind in Corey's bend. Oh.
And around, gonna go Corey Barrett and Austin Tucker.
Yeah, Corey Barrett getting loose going into that corner and then just colliding with the number 243 of Austin Tucker as he tries to make the corner stick.
Oh, and behind him, we got another one into the wall and almost over. Ben Williams nearly went over. The one that spun initially was the 71, the first car that was upside down in this race.
Gosh, yeah, unfortunate spin there. Just kind of, I think, bounced it off. Just got loose on the curbing and pushes his teammate out of the way of Ben Williams.
Everyone else cycling through as we continue to observe the aggressive dogfighting kicking off all throughout the mid pack. I think it's a real big question. Oh, this is a bad place to be stopped, and sure enough, he's going to take out Ryan Verhulst. Matt Verstappen goes with him. This is going to be a big one.
Oh, this is going to be...
Somehow, we're avoiding carnage. But for how long?
Thankfully got it around and kept going kind of with the pack he ended up right in front of. Both of these cars now just kind of waiting for the moment where they can say, we're clear on the relative.
We good?
And it's...
They could go now. They could have gone.
they could have, but they're waiting.
Oh, no, jeez. Oh, and the 65 is around again. I think that's one more up yours for that whole incident.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
I think that definitely is. Both cars, however. Yeah, I was definitely expecting that whole train of cars that ended up right in front of Max Verstappen, just turning into a lovely domino effect of collapsed cars all across the road, and thankfully it didn't happen.
And that happened last year in the Mustangs in the main event. So
okay,
if it can happen there, it can happen here. Thankfully, these cars, though, a little bit more small, a little bit more nimble, so they're able to actually make it work. Problems for Alex Crawford. He has dropped out of the lead. What the heck is going on here with the number 19?
He just kind of takes a little off track, and I don't know if he's trying to clear a slowdown or just
maybe he's in it for the excitement. Oh boy,
maybe he does just make contact with the wall, put Josh Reed out, Aaron Thacker both getting around him.
Just kind of inexplicably does whatever. So it's not like this is uncommon.
Okay, all right. At this point, I'm not super surprised, but at the same time, it is a little. I feel like it's a little early. Usually, he does this about the last 2 minutes to put himself right for that last first challenge of the feature, not with 7 minutes to go.
Well, I feel like if he is going to do it, he's going to be doing it to test if the. You know what? Great time to do it. Test if the sand trap jump still works in these cars.
Yes. It would be a fantastic time to test that. But he also has to, at least for the moment, try to hang out with these set of drivers. Sorry, Henry Morris trying to rebuild up the gap he had and get further up the field back to Josh Reed, Aaron Thacker, though he's kind of at the tip of this proverbial spear. And I think it'll be a bit of a rough one from here on out, unless Alex Crawford manages to give him a tow. But he's still a second and a half up the road.
Aaron Thacker still trying to run down Josh Freed. 0.2 of a second. It was over 5 by the time they got to this point. Could have had a look probably into the chase, but you can tell he lifted out on purpose. He's setting himself up for later in the game.
I think he is. I think he's waiting for that last lap overtake coming into that braking zone at the chase from the Conrad Straight. But I think for now, I think he's going to keep Josh Freed in front of him via lifting and bump drafting Josh Freed as fast as he can, as far as he can, away from Alexander Crawford and Henry Morse and the pile of cars behind them. At least that's what I would do.
So the field continuing on its long-winded fight to try and get something to work for themselves here. Giovanni Romano up 25 positions. He will go and take away the fastest lap, although with him being 11.6 back from Josh Freed, I think it's a pipe dream if he wants to go for a sprint race win here this afternoon. Aaron Thacker takes the lead away from Freed in turn 2.
Yeah, Freed getting real loose in Corey's Bend there in the braking zone. And I think he just wasn't anticipating how much rotation that car would get from the outside line versus where you usually take it on these cars. And that puts him right in the target crosshairs of Alexander Crawford.
So the fight continuing to develop as time goes along. And that time is steadily looking to be running out. So, of course, the big question that remains for pretty much everybody in this pack, at what point does that other shoe drop?
I don't fully know. I'm curious. I think it'll be probably within the next couple laps. Whenever we get that beautiful white flag is when we'll see the last bit of fighting for the positions in the various pockets of racing we have here, such as with these set of drivers now coming down into the dipper.
Fighting our way down and in towards the dipper. Ryan Murphy looking like he may have had an issue deeper in the field, but we'll keep all eyes up front. As he got a scrap picking up for the lead. Alex Crawford has run this pack back down, coming around to 1 lap to go in the sprint.
Well, all three-way fight for the podium positions, and only a second and a half behind is Henry Morris leading the other group of about another 4 drivers, all looking for their own taste of that in the sprint race, as well as setting themselves up pretty nicely for the transfer spots, for the feature.
White flags in the air. Cover makes the look down to the inside. He couldn't have a look for second into turn number 1 at Hell Corner. Aaron Thacker runs a bit wide off the exit. Josh Freed going to pull alongside, trying to go for the lead, and Cofford is looking to do some harassing in the mirrors.
He's trying to figure out which one of the two of them is faster, and since he can't, because they're both going about the same pace, he's just going to make his own line.
I'm sure Henry Morse is wondering what's going on here, and I think he's going to... Okay, so I think what Cobb's going to do, he's going to back out and then try out that test here for the jump, because obviously he doesn't want to win the sprint race either. There goes Thacker, back by Freed.
Oh, they've been too wide pretty much up until this point. Cutting is probably a dangerous place to go too wide no matter who you are. Henry Morse looking to almost have that, make it look to see if he could try it, and then backs out to not risk the sprint points finish in what essentially would currently be third.
Ah, screw the danger. You're having fun, right? Let's go at it. Coffin predictably picking up a penalty. You can see that on the left-hand side. But this is still going to go right down to the wire here with Aaron Thacker trying everything he can to keep the field behind him.
And now he has 7 cars to deal with. Alex Cofford being the last one of this pack of machines, all vying for the top 3 spots of the podium and having a hell of a time keeping this essentially kind of almost looks like a snake kind of working its way down a mountain.
Well, the field going to continue to try and battle it out with one another. Last chance coming down the hill. Josh Freed backed it up, trying to set up a mega run down the Conrad straight. He is being pushed by Henry Morse. 6/10, 5, 4, down to now 3, a quarter of a second, down to 2, 10th and a half, under a 10th. Makes the look. Josh Freed going for the lead into the chase here this time by. Josh Freed to the point. Morse trying to pick up second. Thacker squeezing him out to the right-hand side. Morse through for second. Thacker trying to get him back into the final corner. Freed pulling away. And Alex Cover not going to go for the chase jump attempt. Morse sends it in. He overshoots. Thacker's back through for second. Freed picks up the number 1 spot. And a drag race for the number 2 spot. Thacker going to hang on at the line.
That was a very intense set of driving. Eric Ronenborg pushing a couple of cars out of the way beyond the start-finish stretch as they all do their usual post-race shenanigans.
What a ride.
That was a fantastic couple corners there. Poor Greg Beckman getting out of the wall just to get pushed right back in.
Some F-tier attempts here, if I'm pointing out.
Oh, yeah.
Not a lot of, oh, there we go. There's a good one.
Yeah. Well, it's also, turn 1 is kind of anticlimactic for the off-track drive to crash the car. The usual place to do that
there we go.
Chase. Never mind, I stand corrected. You can still do some pretty...
You just need to get a few cars crunching into each other at the same time is all.
Yeah, you just have to have basically the ramp car that will be the kind of the thing that you rebound off of into a sick cartwheel over the invisible teleport barriers.
There you go. Well, a wild way to close out racing action here this afternoon, and this is how the results shake up for heat race number 1. Josh Freed taking up the top spot as Aaron Thacker steals it away from Henry Morse. The Morse overshooting that final corner. Hammond's around 4th. Ronenberg in 5th, and it's Wright, Lee, Fleming, Romano, Beckman for the top 10. And starting on the front row will be Sean Bradley and Justin Hall. More racing action coming on up shortly on Greenfly TV. Stay with us. We'll be back in a moment with more.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Green Flag TV. We are getting set to go racing once again for some more thrilling action coming on up here at Mount Panorama Bathurst. If you just tuned in, what a wild sprint race we had for the finish of that one. That was something else entirely, and it's going to look to be a pretty darn good run coming on up here before too long.
I could not agree more. The last corner overtakes we saw from the chase down to Murray's and over the start finish line. Fantastic stuff from the late overtake for Henry Morris, cooking into the final braking zone. So look at here, Josh Reed having the lead after being pushed by Henry Morris up into the lead, into the braking zone. Too wide contact for these two drivers between Henry Morris and Aaron Thacker, both trying to drive out of here. Better run for Henry Morris, but as we look here in just a second, we'll see a little bit more of it. Aaron Thacker backing out to make the corner. Henry Morris late on the brakes and overcooks it. Barely keeps it out of the rear end of Josh Reed, and Aaron Thacker now on a drag race with him down to the start-finish line and over for the sprint race podium spots of second and third.
Let's be real. How much do you think he was really trying to go for a bump and run there?
I don't think it was intentional.
You don't think it was intentional?
I don't think so. Because
I feel like it was. I mean, you don't send it in that deep unless you're trying to put the bumper to him.
I think he was trying to cover off Aaron Thacker for the second place podium, and I think inadvertently got himself on the bumper, trying to then having to correct it and then locking up the brakes, which is how at least that's how I saw that being played out. We'll have to ask them if they're in the booth here for the post-race interviews. Find out.
Well, we'll find that out in just a moment. For now, Taking a rundown of your official starting grid here for race number 2 of the night. It is the 1-hour feature coming on up, and we're going to line them up looking a little bit something like the following. Number 1 is Justin Hall, with 2 being down for Sean Bradley. Row 3 headed up by Greg Beckwood alongside Giovanni Armani. Then it's Scott Fleming and Jason Lee. Row 4 holds Chris Bright and Eric Ronenberg. Then row 5 holding Alexander Hammonds and Henry Morse. Row 6 will be Aaron Thacker and your sprint race winner, Josh Reed. From there, it is Austin Tucker, Jake Kasich, Tyler Augustino, Chris Flams, Jordan Babcock, Carson Catlin, Alexander Bueller, Alex King, Mac Verstappen, Blake Gambro, Brooks Clayton, Matthew Dupuis, Evan Campbell, Adam Joseph Milhot, Ron Wolf, Ryan Murphy, and Ryan Verhulst. Boy, battle of the Ryans right there. Holy cow. Justin Brissy, Sebastian Close, Corey Barrett, Tyler Vian, and Alex Cofford, and Chris Zofer close out the field.
A fantastic grid. I love seeing 30-plus drivers at Bathurst and getting to see just battles all the way up and down the order. We focused a lot on kind of that first couple of grid packs, but we saw, at least I saw in the timing tower, there was battles up and down the order from first to the last couple of positions there in the 30s. And so I think we're set for some more fantastic racing to get set underway here with an hour-long race and just under a 30-minute fuel window for these drivers for this week. I think it'll be a spicy one-stop if they do the fuel saving, or a fantastic splash and dash for the finish where that pit window will make a change.
It's going to be a bit wild for the main event as well. This is what happened just a few minutes into last week's main event. It was a 2-car flip over at Sebring to turn number 1. You saw Justin Hall, one of the drivers that, in fact, the pole sitter was the first one to go over, and then Kyle Blevins followed in quick succession immediately after. And drivers looking to avoid that happening to them this afternoon. Well, the race is going to get started here this afternoon. And we are green. It's go, go, go from Mount Panorama Bathurst. A good getaway from Justin Hall down to the turn number 1. No jump start penalties this time around, and Hall is clear and away through turn number 1.
The rest of the top order also as well, buttoning down, zippering up, getting through Hell Corner and getting onto the first main stretch. The rest of the field that had to make that corner at the end for Murray's for the start finish also working their way around. Everybody clearing that first corner successfully, and they get into the braking zone. Sean Bradley getting around Justin Hall for the lead, having a successful draft up that first straight.
So far, so good. Not seeing a lot of drivers having issues here in this one, as the field battles their way up through the cutting and making their way towards the top of the hill. Justin Hall losing out on the lead to Sean Bradley. The rest of the field quickly in tow behind as we hit the peak of the mountain and start to work our way down for the first time tonight.
And they get to Skyline, a fantastic place, a very scenic one if you have the time to look out your left window. But most people are worried about the car the road in front of them as they dive past under the Coates Tire board, banner, that one.
Coates Tire board? Yeah, I guess you could call it that. Signage. Well,
something like that. Yeah, signage. There we go. Thank you.
Well, the rest of the field all the way down. So far, no problems in this opening salvo of laps. A few cars slow because they started from pit road, but we're on a pretty good getaway so far, and Sean Bradley really put the pack to task.
That he did. However, trying to find out. Blake Gambrell, a little late on the brakes into Forest Elbow, finds himself making friends with Falcon tire barriers, but gets his car back going underway without any issue. Otherwise, it seems to be a pretty quiet, smooth, controlled start.
Suspiciously so.
I jinxed it.
There's the top 2 going off the road.
John Bradley, Justin Hall both.
Oh, here we go. Yeah. 3 wide toward Murray's Bend. That's going to be tight. Sean Bradley caught in the middle. The 37 is Scott Fleming trying to get around the outside. Beckman catches the curve. He's going to spin it out of the final corner.
He is. Scott Fleming going to lose out on a good number of positions because of how wide he had to take that corner because of the 3 wide. And Sean Bradley surviving, being in the center. Jason Lee looking on the inside. Eric Ronenberg, who is currently sitting in 3rd now. And we have a trail of cars behind the leaders here as they all pick their lines and go 2 and 3 wide once again down the front stretch.
And Justin Hall is gone, checking out 1.7 seconds clear. Everyone else behind. Oh, there we go! Big crash coming up the hill. Bradley around, Ronenberg around as well. And the rest of the field trying to siphon their way through. Again, it's a tall order to get up here and get yourself right. And looking for a bit more 3 wide coming to the hill just behind. That's going to quickly get itself double fouled out when you see the smoke on the road. But the 79 car's now gone around just behind. That's Blake Gambrell now facing the wrong direction.
An unfortunate pair of corners there for Blake Gambrell. Had the incident force elbow just a couple turns ago and now finds himself just another self-spin trying to get underway here in Corey's Bend. And I think it'll be a bit of a recovery race for him as he gets his car back going the right direction and joins the pack of cars kind of trailing behind Justin Hall and the leaders here.
Overall, though, still a pretty tame start compared to what happened in the sprint race. Nobody going up and over this time around. Although one car does cut across Skyline that time. That'll let you slow down.
It will now you slow down. Evan Gamble, I think, choosing to make the safer choice rather than have the car squirrel out from under him and then turn into a spinning almost top and collect a couple other cars further down the mountain. I mean, it is the fun part for us, but the people who are driving and trying to have a good race and then have a car that's spinning like it's just been ripped out of a Beyblade launcher, I don't think they'll have as much fun as they get into the chase there.
Oh boy.
Oh man.
Henry Morrison might not be too happy with that as he gets muscled out to the right-hand side. And by the way, Hall at the top of the lap, he was 1.7 clear. Now, under a 10th.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely got he's kind of on his own, like I said, and he's getting passed by Scott.
Got a little bit loose there out of the corner for Alexander Hammonds, and he was forced to drop back.
That he was. Jake Kasich fastest lap and now taking over the lead of this race as our Code 69 window opens for round 6 here at Bathurst.
So the window is very much open this afternoon, and we eagerly await to see if or when that yellow will come. Here come 2 of the legendary cars. Hall and Morse both breaking around Case with a bump draft, and now they lead the way into Team 1-2.
That they do. The draft, I think, is really powerful on these 3 long straights that make up the kind of nicer portion of Bathurst circuit. But as soon as you get into the more twisty section, the drafting game turns into a survival game as you really ride the limits of grip that this car has to offer them here this evening.
Justin Hall continuing to be the man that leads the way. Henry Morse in second just behind. Jake Kasich in the mix as well. Alexander Hammonds, Jason Lee, Josh Freight, Scott Fleming. Right now, the 7 cars that are all in a major battle pack for first on back. Tucker, Thacker, Augustino close out the top 10, but they're over a second behind.
That they are, but I mean, if they get themselves squared away and get a good run going, I definitely think they could make it back up to this lead group, as this lead group kind of is splitting up and trying to make its way as they pair off into either, drafting partners as well as their own battles in the top 10 here. But a nice stream of cars coming out of Forest Elbow onto the Conrad Straight. Legendary cars getting paired up to keep that bump draft going.
Kasich still closing, even with that help, though. And he's not going to be too obliged to follow in line. He's going to try to make it a 3-car tandem. But here comes Hammonds making it. How about that? 3 for 1 and 1 straightaway for Alexander Hammonds as the number 26 drives to the point, but he's off the track.
Oh, no, he cooks the corner, and then he'll have a slowdown from that. He'll have to give up back up all the positions he just made on that fantastic run.
Good effort,
But
though.
definitely keeps. Oh, yeah. Good effort. Definitely
Oh,
shows
the
that he
leaders
can
just dropped
attack.
it!
Oh, And-
Justin Hall goes around!
oh. Heartbreaking. I think he just got on the gas a little too early and spun it.
Oh, disaster for Justin Hall. He's not the only one. Another car around. It's
No.
Evan Campbell that's just gone around with the Ron Wolf picks up the fastest lap of the race, and too much curb.
Yeah, too much curb and didn't collect it in time. Unfortunate for Justin Hall, but now has a recovery race on his hands as he works his way back up the stretch. Henry Morse leading the train of cars. Josh Freed now back up into third. And the rest of the top 10 flare out behind them as they get into the cutting.
Oh, hard hit into the wall just a little ways behind these guys. Somebody has just smoked it. That is Ben Williams. That went big time into the fence just a little ways behind this grouping here. And a major problem for Williams.
Yeah, take a look here. He just spins it on the curbing. That curbing caught out Blake Gambrell on the first lap. And a similar thing happens here for Ben Williams as he tries to get that car going as cars dive left and right to not hit him. Not exactly a slow section for these cars, or for any car on this track for that matter. So quick reaction time, I think, kept that problem from getting worse, thankfully.
By the way, if you're just tuning in from race number 8 of the Premier Sim Racing SimGame Expo Truck Series, we welcome you on board. You've missed the first 10 minutes of the main event, but not too much has happened. All the drama's happened in the last lap or two, so and I understand as well, congratulations in order towards Richard Regan Jr., who, with taking his 5th straight win, we do believe has also clinched the Season 1 championship. So a big congratulations going out to Richard Regan Jr. here for the Beer League broadcast crew. Now here in Mount Panorama, Jake Kasich, he's going to play nice with Henry Morse for now.
I think so. I think Henry Morse had a better exit there, but Josh Freed's not going to play nice with either of them. And dives up the inside, taking over the lead. Has to get the run out of here, though. Henry Morse hot on his heels as they get into Murray's corner. I think we're going to see a lot of that tonight, of cars getting the great run, late braking for the chase. It's going to be some good stuff.
It's going to be a good, solid drive for everybody here this afternoon. And what a fight we're looking to have here this afternoon, as this is, frankly, going to be a wild time.
That it absolutely is, as we are only 12 minutes into, less than 12 minutes, excuse me, 11 minutes into the hour-long feature race. Henry Morse looking to bump trap with Josh Freed, Jake Kasich riding on the tails as well. These three kind of taking off in their own fashion away from the rest of the top 10. Alexander Hammond's trying to hang on the coattails and is successful, at least so far.
Freed pulling a little bit of a gap through that corner. Everybody else backing up. We're going to go 3 wide into the cutting, and backing out is going to be Scott Fleming, but they will remain 2 by as we work around the corner for the tire power wall signage, and now back up through the top of the hill. And I think Ben Williams has just had another spin at the tail end, and same corner as last time.
Aaron Thacker riding on the tail end of grip. All these cars here trying to find their way around and keep going. 2 wide there into the cutting, I think, is a little bit slowing them down from that lead pack of 3 cars, and I think they'll have a bad gap. It's at least growing between the top 4 and the rest of the top 10.
Aboard of Austin Tucker as he works his way down the mountain's top. And coming up to Forrest's elbow.
You can see how much these drivers are working the wheel of these machines to keep them stable in that downhill section. Just making micro adjustments to the turning, as well as where they're planting that car.
Meanwhile, Freed, Kasich, Hammonds, and Morse over the top of the hill, coming down the Conrad straight and back into the chase. Does anyone make a look for the top spot? Jay Kasich thinking about it. I think trying to block off a late dive from Alexander Hammonds more than anything, and he's going to keep it in line for the number 2 spot.
That he is. The rest of the field all flaring around. Jason Lee, who was kind of leading the second pack of cars into the chase, as Tyler Agostino as well as Aaron Thacker find their way around. The rest of the cars getting a little loose there, but keeping it steady.
A little bit of grass shavings being kicked up there as well on the exit of Murray's Corner. But we're able to keep things more or less together almost a quarter of the way through this race. Is it just me, or do these races seem to go by quicker when the laps are longer?
I think they do seem to go by quicker because you're only counting laps, every 2 minutes here, 2.5 minutes even. So it definitely feels like time progresses based on the number of laps, which means it progresses faster 2 by 2 for all of these drivers. Austin Tucker taking the inside line away from Alex Cofford and getting the position done there. Scott Fleming, as well as Chris Bright, also hanging out in this batch of 4 that we're riding along with. I definitely think it goes faster because of the way the laps are longer.
It's kind of weird, right? I mean, you look at the average car's late model stock tour race, right? About 125 laps, and you'd think, oh, that seems like a long time, but you actually run that green to check without compulas or anything like that. You're out of there in 30 minutes if it goes caution-free.
Absolutely. Speaking of cautions, or at least code 69s that we have here in the B League, end of lap 6, we'll get our first one of the night.
So that will be at the end of this lap. Of course, the big news that we had in the sprint race was it was a 6-lap race. And so we see that about to come into play yet again. So at the end of the current lap, the Code 69 will be deployed, and that'll give drivers the first chance to come down to pit road. One stopper, in theory, should be possible now, but that's not ideal. Brooks Clayton facing the wrong way in one of the worst spots on the racetrack.
Yeah, and I wonder, depending on how that shakes down, how she'll get.
He's got it.
Keeps going. Yeah, there you go. It's a little more concerned it was going to be scarier than it was. 3-way battle. Henry Morris looking to take away the lead of this race from Josh Reed into the Code 69. I think we'll see a lot of them dive into pit lane. Henry Morris, Josh Reed, as well as a litany of other drivers. Tyler Agostino, Aaron Thacker, Jason Lee.
Oh, hello. Careful. That's a teammate. Don't be doing that.
That's a teammate. Austin Tucker, Chris Bright as well. Chris Flams, Ron Wolf. Let's look at some of these drivers. Corey Barrett, Giovanni Romano, Max Verstappen, Adam Joseph Mailhot. A lot of the main drivers. Yeah, pretty much everybody.
Everyone except Kasich, who might be regretting that decision pretty soon.
Yes. Kasich is, I think, the only driver right now to come in. I think they're all going to make it a very easy two-stopper with this dive into.
Fair enough. Why take the strategy that's got a maybe on it when you can take the one that you know will work? Mailhot's got a black flag.
It's very.
Not sure what for.
Is Mailhot speeding a pit lane?
That'd be my guess. That pit lane code could come up on you pretty quickly.
It can indeed, especially if you're looking at the rear end of another car, as well as maybe you just don't have the pit limiter on.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Well, the race in action has, I think, to put it mildly, been a wee bit intense. Would that be an apt description for it?
I think intense would be a good one. I think it's been very clean, though. I think a lot of the passes we see are done in the chase. A very nice wide spot, easy to do. We haven't seen too many risky passes in any of the kind of areas I would deem like really unsafe, such as most of the mountain. But a lot of the gestures vaguely towards 90% of the track.
POV Monaco.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
I mean,
you can't really pass in unsafe places at Monaco. That is the track. Just anywhere.
Yeah, just highlights the entire place.
I'm sorry, when you need to put in a rule just to try to facilitate overtakes, and one of those drivers says, screw your rule, I'm just going to cut the chicane and admit that I'm doing it just to make the pass.
Get around a car that has been slowing him down. Yeah, that's definitely
time to get a new track, if that's the level we're getting to.
Or make the cars thinner. Because Formula E has no problems.
Formula E cars are also slower, though. They're much slower. Let's not forget that as well.
That's fair.
That's a good thing, though. That is a good thing. They do put on great racing there.
They do. Formula E, Porsche Cup cars. I mean, they kind of had a whole giant pileup. But that's its own story. They did it 3 wide through a good portion of one of the straights. So like.
Well, we got some time here. So for those of you that are tuning in right now from the PSR race, you did miss a thrilling end to sprint racing action, and we'll get a chance now under this yellow flag to give a quick flashback. This was about 20 minutes ago now, this incident here. This was at the end of the sprint race, and this was the mad scramble as Josh Freed trying to close in on Aaron Thacker for the lead of the race. He was pushed from behind by Henry Morse. Eric Ronenberg was also in the picture. This was down the chase and in towards some of the final corners on the racetrack.
And there's contact between Henry Morris and Aaron Thacker. Both of them kind of did a little bit of door banging as they were coming down for those final positions on the podium. Henry Morris having a better exit. Aaron Thacker trying to get the nice inside line done. Henry Morris trying to cut him off. Ends up running wide. And Aaron Thacker maintains second.
So that was the end of the sprint race. Again, about 25 to 30 minutes ago now. So that was right when everything was going down over in PSR at the time. So got a lot of action here in the mountain tonight, and we're looking to get some more of that before the race is out.
That we are. We are right now coming into the chase at a much slower speed than we saw in that replay. Kind of big winners, I would say, from the pit stop cycle. Eric Ronenberg, Justin Brissy, really getting ahead of a lot of the front runners. Henry Morris and Josh Freed now come out in 4th and 5th, respectively. I think the stops, though, were shorter for those two drivers, and that makes it a easier or a harder second. Sorry, no, excuse me. Eric Ronenberg, Justin Brissy stayed out. They didn't pit. Never mind. I stand corrected. We'll stop talking.
No words yet on when that Cove 69 is to be ending, by the way. And no, this is interesting. Justin Brissy coming back down to pit road.
No, that's his first land. His first time down pit road. I misspoke.
Is it? Oh, sorry, it is.
Yes, yeah, no. I thought everybody came down except for Jake Kasich. That was not the case. Eric Ronenberg, Justin Brissy also did not go down pit road the first time by. Justin Brissy dove down it the second time.
So one interesting thing to note here, Adam Joseph Mailhob, we talked about him having a penalty at the start of that. He does not have that penalty, which means that it was a stop and hold that he served under the code 69. Now,
interesting, yeah.
That is, for reference, on a normal caution, you're not allowed to do that. But this is very different because it's a custom bot that's being utilized.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the rule is on that, and I don't think it's something that the administration thought about because he doesn't have that black flag anymore. So we'll have to look into that post-race and see if we can get some answers. But for now, we're about to go green.
We are. The restart lines have been formed. You watch them all bunch up 2 abreast. Pass over the green flag to Jake Kasich to get us back underway here in just a moment.
Just waiting for an ideal opportune moment. At this point, it's all up to him as to when he goes.
He's going to tear away here at the end of Corey's Bend just to get a good run.
Yep, there it is. You called it. We see it time and time again, right? Go at the end of the straight. Keeps him from getting a good draft run on you.
That is very true. And as well as allows a lot of the drivers an easy, release back into the race with a corner. impacting them. And Josh Freed looking to try to get around Eric Ronenberg here in one of the more sketchy sections. Oh, and he makes contact with the barrier. He keeps it going the right way, but he'll lose out to Henry Morse. We have some cars
no!
back.
Oh,
Back
my
for
goodness!
a huge pile up.
Huge crash. Ryan Murphy upside down, being pushed around a little bit. One of the Flying Donut Motorsports cars. You see Carson Catlin trying to help him right the ship. And he's going to be forced to take the tow.
Corey Barrett, Chris Flams also dragged into that as well.
Oh, my goodness. We'll look at that in just a moment as right now a lot of drivers at the front of the field still trying to get themselves sorted, but those types of crashes are the ones that you fear because at a track like the Mountain, there's absolutely nowhere to run and nowhere to hide.
And there's no way to get through it, especially when it backs up like that. And you just kind of have to figure out where is the theoretical safe line as both Eric Ronenberg and Henry Morris make their way around Jay Kasich in the chase.
Both of them are through. This is the incident that happened to knock several drivers out of the race. It was contact between the 16 and a huge lick into the wall for Corey Barrett, who was up on his side. And along comes the 02, completely unsighted.
Yeah, unsighted, just knocks into the Chris Flam's machine, and then he ends up spinning, which pushes Justin Berthie out of whack. And then a bunch of other cars also getting caught out, either slowing down or getting damaged or getting hit with it.
Big hit into the wall for the 7, and then along comes the 02. Just nothing he could have done about that.
Absolutely not. Nothing I think any of those drivers could have done after the initial contact. But they are in line to get back underway. Giovanni Romano spinning around at the race corner.
He does get collected by Justin Hall. Looking like one more car kind of off and into the gravel trap, but everybody else was able to get around him. But boy, massive.
Massive impacts. Josh Reed winning kind of the draft battle down the front stretch into Corey's Bend and onto the Mountain. And he is currently holding off Eric Ronenberg as they get into Skyline.
The field still going to try and get themselves sorted after that melee. That's the second week in a row that we've had a car going roof first.
into a barrier.
Yeah. First we had Shane Cameron last week at the end of the race. Now in the middle of the race we had Corey Barrett.
Yeah. Both times I'm really thankful we're in a simulation.
You see Ben Williams going for a little bit of a slide as he drops down the field and looking like Evan Campbell stranded as well at the top of the hill.
That corner deceptive, especially with how
you can't even see him behind there.
No. Oh, poor guy. He gets that car righted and jumps to pits.
So Eric Ronenberg going to dive down and in. Josh Freed looking to claw up there with him, and now looking over for the right-hand side, and here comes Ronenberg to pit road.
That he is hopping in because he did not pit under the code 69, so he'll have to do so right about now. This is a few minutes short for a proper 2-stop or proper 1-stop, but we'll see how little fuel he'll have to take at the end by waiting to pit until now.
Behind them, Austin Tucker and Jason Lee going side by side. Tucker takes that spot away, a little deep in a 1, but he's able to gather it up. Catches the grass a little bit on exit. That's gonna might allow for Lee to just get right back around him, but for now, fights on up front. Josh Freed trying to fend off the field.
That he is. I think also with the draft, I think it'll be a easier thing said than done. Josh Freed holding on to the lead here, inheriting it after Eric Ronenberg dove in pits. and is successful, but the cars behind the kind of initial four that kind of broke away have started to catch back up as these drivers all vie for the lead.
So while he continues to scrap it out, other drivers having issues back here. Got a multi-car pileup back here. Carson Catlin. No, sorry, that's Mailhot and Justin Hall.
Yes.
Both of them around.
Justin Hall's bad day keeps getting worse.
And looking like Corey Barrett may have had a hand to play in starting this.
I believe so.
Kind of looked to me there like he tipped Sean Bradley. Or he tipped somebody into Sean Bradley, who then got him right back.
Yeah, it looks like it. It looks like Ben Williams tips Sean Bradley, who then gets pushed back into it at the end of it, with Brooks Clayton as well getting caught up in it. And then I'm trying to see where Justin Hall ends up on the scene.
Coming down the Conrad straight into the chase. Morse Kasich still trying to keep Josh Freed honest. Not looking to really go for an overtake, though, and I'm sure we're not surprised to see that from Kasich, as Jake Kasich, another driver that we have not seen come down to pit road yet, and in fact, there he goes, making that duck into the lane.
Yep, and that makes sense with where since he didn't take one onto there. I think it's an interesting strategy. I'm super curious how well it'll work for him. With over 30 minutes still to go, it'll be a lot of fuel saving to make it work.
So the rest of the pack still working their way up and around. Josh Freed, Henry Morris, Alex Cofford, Hammonds, and Fleming all in lockstep. Ben Williams has taken a spin out of the final corner, and one more has just got with. We see more smoke being kicked up at the tail end, as that was one of the legendary cars moving out to the side. Jordan Babcock taking to the curbing.
Yeah, just getting a little too loose there. Yeah, just the curbing, I think, is a little bit. We're used to using it with cars that have more downforce, and I think it unsettles these cars a lot more, the ones that don't.
Or cars that just have any kind of a suspension.
Sorry. Yes, yeah. That isn't made of plywood and dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely. It's something I think we're way more used to for a lot of the road car drivers who drive other machines as well, to have a little bit more forgiveness in their suspension. And then we take those curbings because we're used to it. And then we hop over to these 34 coupes that have plywood and dreams for suspensions and no add-on force. And that curbing is a little bit more of a death sentence in some corners, it looks like.
Can you say that? I mean, obviously stateside these cars are big oval racers, but across the pond in Europe, these are pretty much exclusively road course cars.
That's fair. But I think they're also road course cars that know to take the curbing a little bit less aggressively than maybe we do in sim racing.
I mean, the crashes I've seen with those cars are no less chaotic and dramatic than they are here as well.
I would have to imagine that they are. Mac Verstappen. It's like,
good rejoin.
And Williams.
Not the safest thing. Really, realistically, the only way you can do that.
Yeah.
Just disappear stage right. I mean, you can't really see him. You just got to kind of hope he's not there when you come back around. So he did a three-point turn right in the blind zone, though. That's pretty good, all things considered.
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely, I think, better than just trying to blindly pull out into the racing line. You get yourself underway off of it and then work your way back onto it. Alex Cofford making his way up into second.
Good show.
Absolutely. Top 6, all separated by less than half a second. And 2 seconds back.
I feel like a lot of guys are biding their time a bit. Well, okay. Now, all right, I'm just going to stop talking.
You say this, yet Alex Cofford has elected that he wants to be in the lead of the race and has utilized the draft behind Josh Freed to make that happen. So I don't think that's fully a true statement that everybody's doing this. I would also agree a little bit that there is definitely some people biding their time. Not Alex Crawford, though.
I'll blame it on the heat wave.
Okay. Yep. I'll accept that. For this week alone.
This week, it's not really gonna. It's gonna be awkward if I used up that one excuse come July and August.
Yeah, when the heat wave actually hits.
Yeah.
But I'll probably use it then when I'm, sweating in 100-degree temperatures in Ohio, and I'm gonna be like, why are we hitting triple digits here? This sucks.
You and me both.
Top 6, fantastic consistency out of all of them as they wake their way across Skyline and back down the mountain. It's such a fun roller coaster this track is.
Quite a few drivers still embroiled in fights elsewhere on the racetrack. This is for 16th on down. Thacker, Bradley, Clayton Beckman separated by about 2 to 7/10 of a second from each other, respectively. Oh, Ben Williams, I think, may have just caught the wall a little bit as he's having to avoid Mailhot as they come back over the rise.
Yeah, almost too wide as they go through Skyline. Bit of a, I think he definitely made contact there. I think he's almost doing it again, trying to go too wide, back around Adam Joseph Mailhot, who's slowed down. I think void contact there with Ben Williams.
Did you see how close Ben Williams was there to the top of the hill there?
I did indeed.
Got to get a look at that. Look at the 187 here. Just bare. I think he nicked it just a tiny bit.
It looks like he just brushes, leaves a little bit of paint there. Oh, and we have our second code 69 at the end of lap 13.
Oh my word.
Yep. You see that impact as the car jostles away from it, but
so Alexander Bueller trying to chase Alex Crawford. Will have a code 69 to contend with at the end of this lap, and for only the second time this season, we're getting a second code 69 in the middle of a race, and a lot of drivers are on the pit road right now as a result. I like this call. They're going to try to jump the leaders when they have to come down to pit at the end of the lap as well.
that is very true. They're going to jump the leader. They're also right in the window for a full green flag run from here to the end on fuel. And if magically there is another code 69, which I'm not sure there is at this point. I think two
there
is
is.
max.
It's max of 2.
Okay. It's max of 2. Okay. Well, if there was a magical third one, they'd be even more in the green in terms of how much fuel they can have. But from here on out, they can come in just now, like we're seeing a lot of people do, and run from here to the end. And I think it's a great strategy call. I think it unfortunately short stints a lot of the one-stop attempts might be viable though because of the code 69 being a slower pace.
One driver desperately trying to hit his marks is Evan Campbell right now, the driver, the number 71, last car in the lead lap, and he's got the leaders literally right behind him.
Oh my gosh.
Trying to stay on the lead lap as much as physically possible.
Yeah.
Not sure what that happened there for a moment, but
I take up for me too, so I think it was just a server side thing. So
and he's going to lose the lap. Should get it back though with he should get it back with the pass, with the free pass, but you want to be able to catch the field, not have to hope for a wave around.
That is very true. But if he also dives into pit lane and gets a better run, it's also possible.
So again, code 69 for the second time today will be coming out at the end of this lap.
I just think it's pretty fantastic that out of the 35 cars we still have on the racetrack, this will be the first one that goes a lap down.
Helps that the track is massive.
That is very true.
And he is going to stay out, so I'm going to the back. Campbell's going to be coming down for his second stop after the yellow flag here.
I would have to imagine, I think he'll either be doing that or trying to get it in at the end of the code 69 and then scramble back up the field.
That'd be the safest bet, because that way he guarantees he's still on the lead lap.
Yes. So now it is a frantic dash for Evan Campbell to get back to get into and out of pit road before the drivers come back around on the code 69 lap. I think it's doable.
So everyone else in for their stops and steadily now making their way out. And looking like Morse is going to jump caught for the lead here.
I think he is. I think he had more fuel. So he wins the pit stop duel. Now can he keep it on the track for the rest of the race with 20 minutes to go?
Well, this race has a lot of lives still left in it, and there's going to be a lot of time for these drivers to dissect. One thing we do know, the finish of this one going to be a wild one. We'll be back in a moment with more on Green Flag TV. Stay with us. Welcome back to Green Flag TV. Moments away from getting this race restarted here at the Mount Panorama circuit, and it's going to be a wild final 17 minutes of racing action here down under in Australia. My name is Nolan Rempel alongside Acinni as we bring you the closing minutes of round number 6.
That we do as they get ready to go underway. They're now on kind of under the control of Henry Morse, who jumped Alex Crawford in the pits. We'll have 15 minutes of the sprint to the finish. Fuel stops done. He gets going early.
Yes, he does. Henry Morse clears for the top spot as he jumps out in front. One car to the fence behind into the pedigree barrier as he's able to gather it up, though, and still faces the right direction. Side by side for third as we cross up the hill. No issues just yet. One car slowing towards the tail end. I think for now we've kept these together, but a few close calls towards the tail of the field where they're all stacked up.
Yeah, that we have. Jake Kasich getting loose just before the cutting. Gets turned kind of the right way by Ryan Verhulst and keeps that from being too big of an accident. Otherwise, the rest of the cars zippered in, ready to go, get down Skyline, and the fun part of the roller coaster, in my opinion, of Mountain.
The fun part's always the initial drop, isn't it?
That it is. I think all of it. The entire run from Skyline down to Forest Elbow, once you know how it works in your car, so that way you're not as scared of every corner, it's a fantastic ride.
Chris Flams appears to have had a moment at the tail of the field. He's going to drop several positions while Alex Crawford takes the lead away from Henry Morse. So we enter the final quarter of this race. Crawford looking to come down to it. Morse quickly tucks in line and helps to push Alex Crawford away from Josh Freed, Hammonds, Bueller, and the rest of the pack behind.
Tip of tires in the grass. Alex Crawford really loose on those corners. The rest of the pack filing through.
Oh, hold on.
Being led by. Oh.
We got a couple cars into the sand there. Ryan Murphy and Evan Campbell are among them.
Yep, that they are. I think they got, unfortunately.
Oh, we got one upside down to the final corner. Oh, it's a big crash. Josh Freed's upside down and being punted around as they try to get him back right side up. It's Corey Barrett trying to help him out. Oh, it punches him right into the path of another car. That's Tyler Vietnam that gets spun around, and he hasn't been abandoned. There is a car behind there, but he's forced to tow. That
he is. Scott Fleming as well, getting tipped and kind of making that more than a one-car incident. Giovanni Romano, a bunch of cars wrapped up in that.
Jeez,
front runners still working their way back through the cutting.
Boy. We'll start with the crash. This was, they were 3 wide in the chase. That was never going to work. And I think that confirms that we're not going to be able to get that big last-minute duel there. Now, what the heck happened to Freedom Moore? It was just complete carnage out of the final corner.
It absolutely was. And just
there was
everyone.
Another one up and over there.
Yeah, there was a bunch up and over beyond that.
Oh,
Freed
my goodness.
and Morris getting into it. And then that set off the chain reaction. Scott Fleming, Giovanni Romano added into it.
We'll need
3 of the legendaries.
Boy, we're going to need to take an extended look at this. Hold on for just a second here, folks, as just got sent into the fence.
Yeah.
And then this was the big moment that happened coming across the track here. Up and over it goes Bright. Hammers into it. Casing hard into the wall. Fires right back across the racetrack. That's one of the biggest cracks we've had so far this whole season.
Absolutely. I think it's the biggest in terms of car count for sure.
Oh,
and,
boy.
Just gets tipped into it. And then Scott Fleming gets spun in an own incident right behind it. And that kind of kicks off the trail. All the cars getting.
Oh.
Of course, Clayton trying to avoid traffic.
Verhulst nearly made it through. I think Greg Beckman did make it through. This is on board as him.
We're going to come onto a scene of an accident.
You just saw the smoke. You already see one car upside down on the left side of the window.
Just by the timing tower there. You see another car back around. Scott Fleming kind of going in the left-hand mirror. Brooks Clayton off on the right. And Jake Kasich narrowly catching him, but thankfully avoiding. And Greg Beckman finds himself in P11 after all of that.
Meanwhile, Alexander Bueller jumping Henry Morris and Alex Coffin for the top spot. No idea where Bueller came from in the midst of all of this. The front pack has been ripped apart as a result of that crash.
Absolutely, and Alex Bueller just fired away when that first crash initially happened and has just been on a tear to catch up to them and has been successful in doing so after a great set of runs and now holds the lead of these two drivers, but they're going too wide through after the cutting on their way up to Skyline, as well as these, Chris Flams almost looking to make it 3 wide into Corey's Bend.
An absolutely, I'm still speechless over that crash. I mean, that is such a huge incident. Unlike anything we've really seen all season long. I mean, that was all the 26 is doing there.
Yeah, it just started by 26, as well as a spin from Scott Fleming, which I think got tipped by Austin Tucker, and then just everybody trying to avoid it, causing more incidents because of the limit of grip for these cars in that corner.
Boy. Well, with all of that, we got 10 minutes to go, and now we got one around up in Skyline, and another coming down through the chase. Through the dipper, sorry.
I believe that's Scott Fleming again.
It was Brooks Clayton that went around on the top of the hill.
Unfortunate for both of them. Both of them caught up in that start-finish wreck right after the restart. As these three continue their way through the cutting. Sorry, through the chase. The other C word. Sorry, one of the three many C words. Anyway.
None of them the curse word, though.
No, thankfully none of them the curse word, which I think would be very fitting for Australians.
It would.
But I think it would be a little bit too crass. But Giovanni Romano pushed out into the barrier. We had like flashbacks of this past year's Bathurst in real life, where a car got shunted off there. That car made contact and was retired, though. Giovanni Romano, thanks for catching it up from Mac Verstappen, and we'll keep working his way back up the order.
Boy, this race, we predicted it right. It's come alive in the closing stages, including the top three. Kind of swap drafting back and forth. And the way this fight has been going on, second and third place just link up, breeze by the leader, rinse and repeat, one lap later. Excellent. I think Coffin's done playing around. He's looking for the outside into the cutting.
I think he is at least trying to keep ahead of Alex Bueller, and I think he's going to have a hard time with it. The last few laps of this race, I think we'll see a lot less of the pleasantries of swapping who's in the lead and allowing them all to just draft off of the back of them, and more elbows out racing to kind of secure these positions on the podium.
Near contact there between Dupuis and Ben Williams as they work up the hill. Dupuis still holding the inside. He almost loops it, keeps it underneath them. That was Ben Williams, sorry, that almost looped it around. Dupuis takes full advantage of the slip up and breezes right by for 18th.
Chris Flams losing out on that. Blake Gambrell just kind of waiting in the wings behind these two. Chris Flams bump drafting a little bit for Grant Matthew Dupuis. Wants to make sure he's going fast enough.
Everyone else in complete lockstep right now, trying to work their way around. Now, I have a theory here regarding our top three. You mentioned Cofford. You mentioned Cofford might be trying to stay in front of Bueller. I wonder if it's the opposite. I wonder if he's trying to stay in third because he sees the chance to jump them both down the Conrad Straight.
Oh yeah, I think that might be the play.
We've seen it done before. We saw it in the sprint race a few times.
Yeah. We saw in the sprint race. Saw in the first couple laps of this feature race as well, as Alex Cofford fakes the look and keeps up with these three drivers as they go around once again under the start-finish straight.
Just letting them know he's there.
Back. Yes. Saying, hey, don't forget about me. As he takes the fastest lap of the feature race with a 2:31.91.
How about that? Taking the fastest lap while you're faking a look as well into the final corner. No easy task.
Absolutely not. And no easy task as well. Giovanni Romano trying to get back up to the rest of the field.
And there Cofford goes into the race lead. So right there, that was a practice run. That was Cofford seeing if his strategy is viable. He's just proven it is. The problem, he's also just proven it to his two competitors that he's racing with.
That he has. I think all of them at least know about it from seeing the passes Josh Freed made in the sprint race that a lot of them were there for. So I think this is more just proving the theory still works. Not that it had, like, I still agree with you. I think that it'll be interesting to see who gets the chance to actually make that pass stick on the final lap.
5.5 minutes to go. 2 or 3 laps are left to run. For 26th, we see a battle as well. Brooks Clayton. Oh, kicking to the tail end for Corey Barrett able to get back around him and got Tyler Vian and Evan Campbell and Ryan Murphy also in this 5-way scrap.
Yeah, and Brooks Clayton looking to make up the positions from earlier incidents, so it's definitely going to be a hard task for Brooks to make happen. And nestles in the middle of it. And a good run off of Tyler Vian.
And as well as this, you got a battle picking up back here as well. Oh, trouble for Chris Flams. Flams is sideways at the top of the dipper. Big issues for Flams, and this is what went wrong for him as he chased there. Thacker caught too much curb. Tell you what, as far as spins go, it's about as light of an incident as you could have. Four minutes to go, 2 laps on the boards. Austin Tucker, Tyler Augustino, Aaron Thacker, Jason Lee, all trying to make something happen. Chris Bright's into the wall behind out of the final quarter.
Yeah, I saw that. He thankfully doesn't spin it across the track and gets it under control. This 4-way battle for 4th through 7th, I think, will be the other fantastic final set of racing to watch as these drivers try to pick out their order. 69 of Tyler Agostino pushing Austin Tucker. Jason Lee trying to make a run up the inside and does so up into 4th.
Oh, look out! Another car off in the final corner. Oh, we got a big mess back here. Jake Kasich hard into the concrete.
Yep.
Right into the Repco barriers there, coming off of the final turn. So yet another crash to close things out. Here's Austin Tucker struggling to scrap it out with Tyler Augustino.
I think he's had the worst of the runs from everyone else up the hill. So I think it makes sense that he's kind of struggling to keep up with these drivers as they are pulling away from him. But he'll have the draft coming down from Skyline, so he'll have the opportunity there on the Conrad Straight to get those positions back.
Meanwhile, Bueller has pulled a gap. Coffin and Morse now have to try to run it down. Now, you can run a gap down from this far back. You do have to be linked up with the bumpers.
Oh, yeah.
And it looks like that's exactly what they got going for each other here. And already it's down to half a second or more.
Yeah. It is closing rapidly. You can see that bump draft really playing into effect there.
Max Verstappen has been given a black flag. He has hit the incident point limit of the night. Tough break for him. And a crash back here as well with Ryan Murphy going hard into the wall over in turn 4. As predicted. He takes the top spot, but you don't want to be in that lead on the last lap.
Well, not there. You want to be on the last lap in the last corner. The rest of the lap you want to be. So, white flag is out, right? Yes.
He'll have a good chance to give up the lead here down the mountain straight. And it looks like he's going to do just that.
I think he's trying to give it away.
They don't want to let him give it away.
Because they don't want it either.
Well,
because they are all knowing that they have to go back down the Conrad Straight. Max Verstappen in for his black flag.
And here we go, 3 wide up the mountain straight with Thacker, Lee, Tucker, all in a mix. This hasn't gone well the last few times you've attempted it. They'll make it work this time, though.
I think it's the same. I think they got the memo just a little bit later after they were all 3 wide that they didn't want to be in that position.
To the mountain's peak for the final time. Working our way down through Solman Park and through McPhillamy Park. A little bit of a scrape of the wall there. Approaching Skyline for the final time.
Scrape there for Bueller. Looked a little loose. I want to make sure that he doesn't keep that car under control. All of them sliding through the dipper.
Coffin retained the lead through turn 2, so he's trying to build as much of a gap as he can. He knows he's got no option but to try to outrun him. But Bueller is linked up with Morse. The gap will now start to close, and it's a long run all the way down the Conrad Straight towards the chase. Bueller closed within a quarter of a second, down to 2/10. Morse makes the look, 3 wide for the lead down the Conrad Straight. Morse takes the top spot. Bueller trying to sneak in there as well. The draft gonna swing back the other way like a pendulum. Bueller trying to make the look. Cover trying to make the look. Cover going around the long way into the chase, not able to get there. Morse still with the lead. 1 corner to go. Does he have an answer for him? And Murray, side by side to the final corner, looking for 3. Hard on the brakes. Morse trying to hang on. Crawford round the outside. Morse got the inside. Drag race to the stripe. And I think Crawford just hangs on to take the W, and he does by 17 thou.
Oh my gosh. Close finishes, I feel like, are such the thing we see here. 3 wide for Justin Lee as well as Aaron Thacker.
And
Austin Tucker. And their race has finished as well.
Unbelievable close to an unbelievable race. Came right down to the wire there on that one.
I had flashbacks of the lockup Henry Morse had at the end of the sprint race, and I was very concerned we were going to see something similar, except Crawford was going to get caught in the process.
This is on board with Henry Morse. As Crawford gonna look to make the look around the right-hand side. Morse probably had it. He spun the tires just a little bit coming out of that final corner, and that is what spelled an end. There's the start-finish line, and there is Alex Crawford taking it on his right-hand side. We'll try to get another look.
Jeez, yeah, it's just so close. I feel like we see so many of these this season. I think we're going to keep seeing them throughout the rest of the season. But it makes for such fantastic photo finishes every time.
It's not even the closest finish we've had all season, which is the crazy thing.
No,
I
which
mean,
is
17,000 at a road course is unheard of in most cases. But to get that or closer numerous times this season,
these cars are something special.
they really are. We'll slow that right there. We'll back that up just a wee bit more. Hard to tell, but Crawford's tires definitely got to the wire first. You could just barely tell from that how close that came down.
And you move it one frame forward, and then Henry Morris's tires will be clearly on it.
Yep.
So
that's all she wrote.
And
an absolutely stellar run from all involved. These are the results at the end of a wild photo finish this afternoon. Alex Crawford takes home the #1 spot ahead of Henry Morris. Alexander Bueller picks up number 3. Augustino will be back there in 4th with the likes of Jason Lee in 5th, Aaron Thacker in 6th, Austin Tucker in 7th, Bradley, Bright, and Beckman close out the top 10.
And in 11th, we have Ryan Verhulst, Giovanni Rano making his way back up to 12th after those incidents earlier on. Ben Williams in 13th, Ron Wolf 14th. In 15th is Alexander Hammonds, Matthew Dupuis, Adam Dozelmailhot, Blake Gambrell, Scott Fleming, and Mac Verstappen round out your top 20.
Jordan Babcock picks up 21st, ahead of Carson Catlin, Sebastian Close, and Chris Flams, the last car to finish within a minute of the leaders. From there, it's Corey Barrett, Justin Brissy, Brooks Clayton, Tyler Vieta, Jake Kasich, and Ryan Murphy.
And our final driver on the track that took the checkered flag is going to be Evan Campbell, Justin Hall, Josh Freed, Eric Ronenberg, Alex King, and Chris Zofer, all laps down as they did not cross the checkered flag line.
Arguably one of the wildest races that we have seen all season long with this field. And we'll look to get a chance now to give a chit-chat here with all the drivers that come home at the end of the night. We'll look to start it off first and foremost with one Alex Crawford, the driver that takes yet another race win this season. Feels like just about every single week we are talking to the man from Alaska. And boy, Alex, what a wild show that we had this afternoon. And taking the finish there by just 17 thousandths of a second. Walk us through it.
Yeah, once the three of us broke away, Bueller's a fantastic driver and Henry's really quick too. So it was, at that point, no one can run away from anyone. So it was just kind of a waiting game and a positioning game. And going into the last lap, first corner, I kind of ran wide and there's definitely some jockeying for position, but I took it. The goal was ideally that they would pass me at the beginning of the back straight and then I would catch the draft and pass them. But I actually built a decent gap on the downhill, and so they just flew by me like I was standing still. But I was able to catch a little bit of the draft and hold it tight. Got a good run-in through the chase. And then from that point, I just pinched Henry and, tried to make his line as difficult as I could and hope for the best. I'll be honest, going through that corner, I was like, dang it. Not where I want to be. It's probably a P2, but then I was like looking and I was like, wait a minute, I might got this. And then sure enough, yeah, it's just, the high power carb I installed gave me enough horsepower to pass him at the end.
It was a great race for you today. You were already up towards the top of the points boards entering racing action tonight. Looking like that championship, while it's still close, it swings ever closer to you every week we talk to you here.
Yeah, so I missed last week for vacation in Florida, and I'll miss the next 2 weeks because I'll be in Europe. So I won't be here for 3 races. That kind of eliminates me from any championship contention. But I'll be here for the season finale. So, I'm just excited to watch the broadcast during those weeks. And then last race, I'll just, pretend like it's not a season, just a race, and try to win it that way.
Well, from a spectator's perspective, then, next week it's going to be a trip out to Austria to the Red Bull Ring, specifically the National layout, which, interestingly enough, last we saw that was in late model stock. So coincidence that the only 2 times I've been to that layout, it's been with oval-based cars. But as a spectator, what do you think we can look to see from that race?
Yeah, really fun track. It's really wide, so there's going to be a lot of opportunity to go too wide and battle throughout the field. So racecraft is going to matter more than pace, as usual in the Legends. But one thing that we're going to see compared to this track is off tracks are a really big deal at Red Bull Ring. So managing that so you're able to make a dash to the end cleanly and not being hamstrung by yourself is going to be very important. So racecraft, keeping it clean and letting other people make some mistakes is going to let someone up front have a chance.
Well, we'll wish you the best of luck when we see you at the season finale. In the meantime, congratulations on taking number 1, and we'll see you next week. 3 weeks.
Appreciate it, guys.
Alex Cover comes home number 1 this afternoon, and then we'll talk to the driver that loses out by 17,000 tonight. You're standing by, Fenn, with Henry Morse.
I am indeed. A fantastic run at the end there. Did you lift a little bit on that Conrad straight to avoid giving the bump draft to Alex Bueller on the final lap?
I was thinking strategically about who to give the run to.
Gotcha.
After I got to the lead, I moved over to the right, and then I realized the car on the left had enough of a run that if I stayed committed to being on the right, car on the left probably would have had a shot around the outside of that kink, then going to the inside in the left-hander. So then I switched back to the left.
Very fair. So, fantastic stuff. P2 for this week. That entire last lap, was that like you just said there, was the rest of the lap also a game of figuring out where you wanted to be in every other corner?
Yeah, I knew that based off, I think our first pit stop, that if the pack was reasonably bunched up and if I was 1.2 seconds behind the leader, that I could take the lead going into the chase, which is what happened in the first pit where I went from 4th to 1st. And we were coming off there, we were pretty bunched up, and I was only 0.8 behind the leader, which was the right distance because I was able to take the lead relatively unchallenged through the chase, which is what I wanted to do because any move after that is a lot more challenging. So I wanted the ball to be in my court going into the last turn. Just gives you a little better chance, and he fired it well around the outside and held the speed really well, which is not easy to do. And I pinched it a little too much. I was just trying to avoid the side draft. And probably pinched it off a little bit too much, and he did an exceptional job around the outside. And also, there's like probably a half a dozen lines going across the front straight of this track, so it's hard to tell which one's where the race ends. But yeah, I'll take it. And really good points across the night, and a really fun race.
Keeps you very solidly in the battle overall for the championship standings. I think that'll probably put you back up into 3rd, if I'm understanding my numbers correctly. Potentially, I'll have to see. Anybody else that you a shout out to, or other pieces that I missed on that of the fantastic driving you had there and the great P2, not victory, but podium, excuse me, you had this evening?
Yeah, I was just glad to have a week back where I was doing pretty well. Last week was pretty tough for me. As far as the miscommunication I had with Eric going into the pits, where I did not do a clear job of communicating that I was pitting, and he did not do a good job of reading that I was pitting. So he ended up that we made contact, and it gave me a 40-second stop and hold penalty for an unsafe pit entry last week. That's what killed me last week. But yeah, really happy to have just a clean run this week and put some points on the board, and get a bunch of airtime for my family watching back home. I know they love watching it. And but unfortunately for you guys, it's quite a few people watching it only on one stream, so that's not good for your numbers. Next time I'll have them all throw the stream up on their phones and put it in their pocket.
The analytics appreciate it.
Yes, the analytics would be loving that.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, thanks as always for a great broadcast. I always watch these back. You guys always do a great job. So I'll see you guys next week.
Awesome. And we'll see you there when we go to the Red Bull Ring in the national layout. I don't know how excited you are about that, but at least I'm excited about it. So
it'll be hectic.
That it will be. So then that was Henry Morse, your P2 podium finisher here this week at Bathurst.
So next week we jump across the The continent?
A different pond, yeah.
Do we go across the continent, or do we jump two
mean,
ponds?
We jump at least one pond. Australia is the most island of
You
the
are
continent, so
correct.
at
No matter
least-
what, it's at least one. One, maybe
It
two
is at least one
ponds,
pond.
depending if we're going through North America or through Europe and Asia. So the point is, the point is, we got another race coming on up at the Red Bull Ring. Third one that we've covered with the beer league there. Interestingly enough, the last time we were at the beer league was with the SCCA Spec versus Fords. We had the full Grand Prix layout. The last one we used the national layout, late model stock. So I don't know, coincidence that the two shorter layouts have only been picked with oval-centric race cars where there's only one left turn and every other turn is right? I don't know. What do you make of it?
I think it's very convenient. I would say out of all the options, I think it's obviously coincidental, but I think it's a very fun coincidental. And I think it'll make for good oval adjacent racing. Alex Cofford said it very well, but I'll reiterate just for a brief moment that the track limits are very unforgiving. It is one of the many tracks, much like Coda and a few others, where track limits are everything. Keeping your car within those lines and less than half a car over any curbing will definitely help keep that race going in the right direction. So I think it'll be a little bit different than ovals because usually you just have a wall there to keep you from going off track on the outside in all of the lefts.
Usually, yeah.
Usually. So I think it'll be a little bit different in that regard. I think it'll be the most. I think the Legends will be in its most North American home than it probably will have seen all season, depending on what else we get.
Perhaps. Well,
I'm excited for it.
Before we can get to how all of next week is going to play out, though, we still got a lot more action coming up on Green Flag TV here in this final week of May as we get set for June. Tomorrow night, the Average Joe Sim Racing League, alongside the Speed Cup Series, will take to Las Vegas and Nashville Super Speedway, respectively, for races 2 and 16, with just 2 races to go for the Speed Cup Series Championship. Saturday night, we'll see a swing out to Bristol Motor Speedway for the SRA NASCAR Classic Series, and then, of course, it'll be a jump for a triple header on Sunday. Started off with the Classic IndyCar Series at the Milwaukee Mile, the Blazing Bells ARCA Series at Rockingham, and then the ASRL Xfinity Series also at Rockingham Speedway that very same night, both on June 1st. From there, the Hindsight Racing Garden Premier Series takes to Auto Club Speedway back from their hiatus, and then 1 week before the main season kicks off, OMSRL is back for more, not with stock car racing, but with the Indy 500K, 125 miles around the famed Brickyard for the Tuesday night series before they will return to regular scheduled action for their season opener the week after. If you want to find out more about who we are, what we can offer you, check us out today at www.greenflagtv.com. As always, my name is Nolan Rempel alongside Acinni. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see y'all next week when we go racing in Austria.